So last week I told you guys about my worst financial decisions and a lot of you resonated. So today I'm here to redeem myself with 6 of my best financial decisions. Number 1 is preparing for a baby financially. Several months after getting married, we were a bit undecided about whether to try for a child or not. So we let God decide. So I remember taking a pregnancy test and telling myself that if I'm not pregnant, then I'm going to go get the car that I want. Because I didn't want two major financial decisions starting at the same time. So I took the test and it was negative, and then I went and bought the car. 1 week after buying the car, I found out I was pregnant.
Well, well.
So after finding out, I did some research on what the baby would need and I created a list. Then I went and looked at prices and estimated how much it would cost, and it came up to about 20,000. So we started a baby fund and started contributing to the fund every month. Now, I didn't want to have a natural birth. So at the same time that I was doing research on the baby items, I was also doing research on the different hospitals where I lived to see how much they would cost for a C-section. So I started putting money away for that as well, just in case my medical aid didn't pay. The other thing I needed to plan for was the monthly expenses that would be associated with the baby. So I created mock budgets with the baby expenses. I strongly suggest doing this before you decide to have the baby, because babies are expensive. After I went back to work, he was actually our biggest expense. I think he costed about 8,000 to 9,000 a month after considering the nanny, the formula, the diapers, the clothes, and medical aid. He was in fact more expensive than my bond. And another thing with babies is that they usually come with unexpected expenses. Your child might end up lactose intolerant and need a special and expensive type of milk. They might have eczema and need expensive lotions, or they may be sickly and need a lot of expensive medicines. You don't need to be wealthy to have a child, but you need to have money. You need to have money to give your child a decent life. One thing I'm also really proud of is that by the time that my child was born, he already had an investment, one that I created 2 months before he was born. And you really don't need much to actually create an investment. At the time that I opened this investment account, I was only contributing 300 Rand a month. Number 2 is not succumbing to lifestyle inflation. So I'm currently close to paying off my bond. I'm expecting that in less than a year, it will actually be done. So that means that in essence, I would have paid a 20-year bond in just 5 years and some months. And I'm only able to do this because when my income increases, my lifestyle stays the same. And if I make changes, they are slow and controlled. So the last couple of months, I've been able to top up my bond payment with 20K, which is an incredible feat for me and a true testament of my ability to delay gratification. What I usually do when my income increases is that I'm going to increase my investments and savings, and then I'm also going to increase my giving and also do some once-off spending or manageable changes. Like, for example, a small change that I made was adding ribs to my groceries on a monthly basis. A moderate change looks like going shopping on an extended budget. And something else that I've also changed in recent years was also deciding that every time I travel, I want to stay in a 4-star or a 5-star hotel. So my encouragement to you is that you ensure that your lifestyle is not running at the same pace or ahead of your income. Ideally, your net worth should be going up every year as your investments and your savings increase. We often get in trouble when we don't plan and we spend all the additional income. So plan ahead for your increases. Number 3 is paying off my cars early. So I'm one person who is very aggressive with debt. I always aim to pay off debts early. My first car was paid off 1 year early and my second car was paid off in 1 year. And this has saved me over 200,000 Rand in interest. Now, one thing that has actually helped me with this is going through my contracts and looking at my statements. When you understand how much the bank is making off of you, you get upset. And it makes you unlikely to keep borrowing. Well, at least it did that for me. It's actually one of the reasons that made me stop pursuing the idea of buying a house for now. The financial service industry is counting on you to stick to your loan term and to keep borrowing more and more, because this is how they make their money. So even if you just have 100 Rand, put it into your loan accounts, because anything you put in is reducing your interest, and over time you will see the difference. And if you have an excess bond, use it as your emergency savings account. This will also help to reduce the interest. Number 4 is avoiding consumer debt. I've always been somebody who's afraid of debt. That has saved me from getting credit cards, store accounts, and personal loans. These kind of debts seem quite small, but they are the most expensive forms of debt because they have the highest interest rates. So for me, this means now that I buy everything cash, because the only thing I've ever actually bought on credit is a car and an apartment. Everything else I have to save for and buy cash. So things like clothes, cell phones, and furniture, I have bought all of them cash. And most of these things are usually not urgent, so it's doable. Number 5 is learning about personal finance. For me, this is the best decision because it has yielded the best results, even all the stuff that I've spoken about so far. One of my favorite things about myself, which I think is one of my superpowers, is my willingness and ability to learn. I'm constantly trying to learn and grow. I learned how to buy shares, I learned about ETFs, I learned about tax-free savings. After COVID, I heard about home office expense claims. I went and taught myself how to do it. I heard you could renegotiate your home loan rate, and this year I actually successfully managed to do it on my home loan. It's all well and good to learn, but eventually you have to act. Which brings me to my next superpower, which is starting. Starting is the thing that has enabled me to pay off my car. If I hadn't started by putting 300 Rand away, I would not have gotten to a point where I had 500,000 Rand. The issue with most of us is that we want to understand something fully before we can act, or we want somebody else to do it for us. I'm telling you, you can download Easy Equities today and have shares before you go to sleep tonight, if you want to. You can have a tax-free savings account before the end of this day, if you're serious. Not only are we living in the age of technology, we are living in the age of AI. So instead of asking ChatGPT, what does it mean if he takes 2 days to respond? You should be asking Chat, what shares should I be buying? What is the most profitable ETF I can invest in? I had ETFs for the longest time and I didn't even know what ETF stood for. So you don't need to know everything to start. The same way that we can download social media apps and have them figured out in a matter of hours is the same way we should approach investing apps. And that brings me to the end of this video. If you found this useful, please stick around and next time we will cover investing.